Anyway, first God died. His friend said, just give up. Hear this in chapter 7, verses 6 and 7. It says, my days more swiftly than a weaver's shuttle, they come to an end without hope. Remember that my life is just but a breath, and my eye will never see anything good. Woe is me. Have the pity party. Let's pull out the little draperies, the little black cloths. Get the coffin out, Psalm 71:5 says this, for you are my hope, O Lord. You are my trust from my youth and the source of my confidence. James 4:14 says, whereas you do not know what will happen tomorrow. For what? Even your life is a vapor. It just appears for just a little while and vanishes away. There is no greater state of hopelessness than someone without Christ. The older I become, the longer I serve God, I just can't understand how people live without Christ. I'm a wretch. I'm obese. I'm Gru from Despicable Me. I saw him reading the stories with those little girls, and I said, I read stories like that to my kids because I couldn't stand them up. I am a miserable cuss on a good day. Life with me is no picnic. I'm critical. I'm negative sometimes. By the way, I have the gift of encouragement. I don't know why, but I do. But to myself, I get out the count nine tails. I'm hard on myself. But I have Christ. And even though there's no glimmer of any self-respect when it comes to self-esteem and confidence in who I am, I have it. And sometimes it comes out with this incredible zeal and power and authority and amazing confidence. And yet I'm this timid little hermit that just wants to crawl into a little cabin in the woods and never have any contact with humankind. But because of this relationship I have with Christ, I can be who I am. You need to see that as I see that. Jean-Paul Sartre wrote, man can count on no one but himself. He is alone, abandoned on earth, and in the midst of his infinite responsibilities without help, with no other aim than the one he sets himself, no other destiny than the one he forges for himself on earth. Apart from God, have a feeling of meaningless and abandonment they cannot explain. That's out of Hal Lindsley's book.
The rest of us call him Jean-Paul Sartre.
Okay.
Not Jean.
Jean?
Jean.
Jean-Paul. Okay. Well, I'm French, but I'm an American Frenchman. I speak one language very, very, very well, bad English. Anyway. The converse to that statement by him is Ephesians 2:12. It says, that at the time we were without Christ, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel and strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope, without God in the world. The word hope in verse 12 translates expectancy, confidence, and anticipation. In the Greek, it was used to when people would discuss anticipating a pleasurable experience. The hope that we have is an expectancy that God is about to enter the picture. Yeah, you're not going to have hope without God. You see, God alone, this is point 2, God alone is the answer to hopeless situations. Go back to Ezekiel 37:3. He said to me, Son of man, can these bones live? I replied to the Lord God, only you know. You see, from man's perspective, the only one answer could be coming from the prophet's lips. Life is impossible. It is absurd to suppose that dead bones can ever live again. But it was God who was asking the question, and God alone who knows the answer. Faced with a difficult situation in Matthew 19, his disciples said this. When his disciples heard, they were exceedingly amazed, saying, who can be saved? But Jesus said to them, With men, this is impossible. With God is all things possible. You see, God is a God of possibilities. We serve a God of possibilities. Charles Allen said this: when you say a situation or a person is hopeless, you are slamming the door in the face of God. No, there are no completely hopeless situations, only people who have grown hopeless about the situations. Where today are you finding your hope? Is it in God? You're not going to find hope in your career. There's a new movie out, and I love the phrase. What's his name? The good-looking guy. He's married to whatever her name was. It was like I had it on the tip of my tongue and it just walked away. Anyway.
Go through the files, it'll come back.
I'll go through the files. The little thing is, the little Rolodex in my mind is flipping.
The only thing I could come up
anyway,
with is no strings attached.
It was the thing of the men, anyway. It's a movie that's now coming out. The guy's sitting at his desk, he's on the phone, and he says, so, which were you going to tell me that you were going to fire me? Anyway, you'll see the commercial, the trailer on the TV, and you'll sit back and you go, oh yeah. Anyway, listen, life's that way. By the way, believers do that to people all the time in business. I've been fired. I've been fired by some really cool people. I've been replaced because they found somebody cheaper to do my job. Gee, let's pay really big money to a 32-year-old man, or let's hire someone who's 21 out of college that requires no benefits. Work your way into management. Pour your heart out. Become a workaholic. And be called into the publisher's office and saying, listen, I really appreciate the work that you've done with our company, but today I signed a deal to sell the publication to another company. They're taking the equipment, they're taking the accounts, but they're not taking the personnel. God bless you, have a great day. Oh, by the way, I fired your wife an hour ago. Hey, you ain't gonna find hope in a career. You're definitely not gonna find hope in things. If you think going down to the yacht club on Sunday afternoon and, riding around that really cool boat, let me tell you what a boat is. It's a hole in the water. Best definition of a boat I ever heard was one of my former bosses. He had a sailboat down in Annapolis. And he described to me sailing one day. He said, this is what sailing is all about. He said, we'll lash you to a double swinging door, and we'll start you swinging back and forth. And while we are throwing buckets of ice cold water on you, you are expected to throw buckets of $100 bills back at us. That's sailing. Listen, you're not going to find hope in things.